All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 33rd Annual State of the Band Address. We're going to begin today just by recognizing Wawash Gibbonese and King George's Drum for being here and blessing us with its presence today. Everything we do as people begins with the drum and all the good stuff that brings to our community. So, miigwech. We're going to bring in our flag bearers from AMVETS Post 53 with grand entry. First, I'd like to introduce those folks. Tony Pike, U.S. Army retired, carrying the Art Gabo Family Memorial Eagle Staff. Sarah Rice, our Chief of Police, carrying the United States flag. Diane Nickaboyne, U.S. Army, carrying the Mille Lacs Band flag. Lisa Jackson, U.S. Navy, carrying the Minnesota State flag. And Alan Wiast, U.S. Navy, carrying the POW MIA flag. Turn it over to Little Otter for the grand entry. Miigwech, please stay standing for a flag song. Mayin Gun and Dudame, Mississauga Iganing and Dunjaba, Nisawag and Danasug, Ajawana Kwadukwe, Minawa Ogama Wabikwe, Minawa Ogama Sekwe, Niwidige Oma, Mississauga Iganing. On behalf of the Mille Lacs Band's elected and appointed officials, I want to thank everyone for attending today's State of the Band address and ceremony. The first thing I'd like to do is have you join me in recognizing the Mille Lacs Band elected officials. Chief Executive Melanie Benjamin. Secretary Treasurer Carolyn Bolio. District 1 Representative Sandy Blake. District 2 Representative David Neeb Abid. And District 3 Representative Harry Davis. I also want to recognize the Mille Lacs Band's appointed officials. Commissioner of Administration Catherine Colesrud. Commissioner of Health and Human Services Sam Moose. Commissioner of Education Ed Minima. Assistant Commissioner of Administration Michelle Palamaki. Commissioner of Community Development Percy Benjamin. He claps for himself. That's pretty cool. Need I say more? Solicitor General Todd Matha. And Commissioner of Finance Adam Valdez. We have a few dignitaries that couldn't be here today who have asked to share a special message with Mille Lacs Band members. Congressman Rick Nolan and Senator Amy Klobuchar have sent us a video, so we're going to play that video next. All right, miigwech for that. Let's see here. We also have some dignitaries that are in attendance, and I want to recognize those folks as well. So I'm going to kind of read these off, and let's recognize them. Shannon Holsey from the Stockbridge-Muncie Band of Mohican Indian Tribal President is here. David Morrison Sr., Secretary-Treasurer from Boys Fort Band of Chippewa. Diane Osceola on behalf of Leech Lake Chairman Jackson. Ramel Lee on behalf of Senator Amy Klobuchar's office. Enid Swaggart on behalf of Congressman Nolan's office. Steve Barrows also on behalf of Congressman Nolan's office. Pine County Commissioners, Steve Halen, Steve Chafee, and Matt Ludwig. Reese Frederickson, Pine County Attorney. Always looking dapper. Joe Walsh, Mille Lacs County Attorney. David Minke, Pine County Administrator. Terry Fawcett, Pine County Probation Director. I've been meaning to call you back. I've just been a little busy. Kyle Morrell, City of Hinckley Administrator. Mark Perry from the City of Hinckley Zoning. Jim Knutson, from Director of American Indian Center at the great St. Cloud State University. Hera Charlie, President at another great school, Central Lakes College. Mary Sam and Charlie Blacklance, also from Central Lakes College. From Onamia Schools, Onamia School Superintendent J.J. Vold. And Virgil Wynn, the Onamia School Board member. Robin Betty from the U.S. Department of Human Services Office of Emergency Communication Tribal Liaison. Wow. She's got 2 business cards to hand to you there. Richelle Slepitz from the U.S. Department of Human Services. Let's give all those folks another round of applause. Thank you guys for being here. Just a few, yeah, you know, you're right, Melanie. How about all the band members here? Let's give you guys a round of applause. Thank you guys for braving the snow this morning. Just a few housekeeping items before we move into the addresses. On your table, you'll find a handout from the executive branch. Please take time to read that. The list includes accomplishments and updates from over the past year from each of the various executive branch areas. So take some time to read that. We ask that you remain seated during each of the speaker's address if you can. Up here, Melanie's speech fell off of the podium and hit my foot, and it broke my toe. It's a big speech, so get your bathroom breaks in and get ready because it's a long thing, but it's also a great message, and you're not going to want to miss that. So please stay seated for the addresses if you can. After the addresses, lunch is going to be provided by the Mille Lacs Band. Elders are going to be served at your tables, so you can just stay and chill at your tables. The banquet staff will then start releasing all the tables after we get the elders situated. Also, those beautiful centerpieces that I created are on your tables. No, I'm just kidding. I wish I was that talented. Those are on your table. Those are for the elder at your table, so you get to keep that and take that home with you. You guys can duke it out on who qualifies as the elder on the table. Just a couple other cool things going on. So we have the videography production department at Central Lakes College with us today. They're streaming the State of the Band address on their YouTube channel, so we're streaming onto the internet. So let's give those folks a round of applause for getting this together. This is kind of cool. And we're also streaming this live over to Grand Casino Hinckley, where we have over 300 state employees that are attending an event over there, and they're kind of sharing in on this experience with us. So say hi to Hinckley folks over there. And then because we're on the internet, Russia is also piped in today, and this will be their first State of the Band address. So. Another first is that we have if you're on Snapchat, we have a Snapchat filter. So if you Snapchat things today, there's actually a filter with the State of the Band. And then we also have a hashtag for those of you that are on Twitter. It's MLBSOTB, so State of the Band. That T is very important because MLBSOB actually belongs to my brother Pete, so... Okay, so right now we're gonna switch gears a little bit, and we're gonna have the USA's national anthem. I want to welcome Asin Delilah Dexter to please come up. Asin is, aside from having the coolest hair in the room, she's 16 years old. She's an 11th grade student at Onamia High School. She's a member of Gay Naganazajig, loves to dance, sew, and do beadwork. This young band member right here, she has big plans for her future. She plans to major in American Indian Studies and eventually get her PhD at the University of Arizona. She said her goal is to eventually help move the tribe forward into a new era of tribal policies and become a powerhouse in Indian country and the United States. So she's got big dreams. Please welcome Delilah.
Anine, I'm kind of anxious right now, so bear with me. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs burst. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, Miigwech. All right, Miigwech. All right, we will now hear from the Honorable Secretary Treasurer Carolyn Bolio, who will convene the third session of the 17th Assembly.
Thank you, Joe, and that was a wonderful national anthem. Thank you so much for that. Anine, and good morning and welcome. It is an honor to stand before you once again as your Secretary-Treasurer and the Speaker of the Mille Lacs Band Assembly. It is my duty to now call the 17th Assembly, 3rd Session Band Assembly to order and ask the clerk to conduct roll call. Her mic's not working.
Testing. Oh. District 1 Representative Sandra Blake.
Oma.
District 2 Representative David Neeb Abid.
Oma.
District 3 Representative Harry Davis.
Oma.
Miigwech, we have a quorum. Before we move on to our other agenda items and the State of the Band address, I want to provide an update from the legislative branch. Last year, I talked a little bit about the Minnesota Chippewa tribe, as we refer to as the MCT. I did not talk about the officer positions of the MCT's Tribal Executive Committee that we call the TEC. This is the committee that consists of 12 members, the chief executives and secretary-treasurers from each of the 6 MCT bands. There is a president, vice president, treasurer, secretary elected every 2 years to carry out the various duties listed in the MCT Constitution. I want to announce the election of new TEC president, Fond du Lac Chief Executive Kevin Dupas. Kevin fills the position held by a Grand Portage chairman for 18 years. I'd like to thank Norman for his dedication and commitment to the president position. The vice president elected is Ferdinand Martineau, secretary-treasurer for the Fond du Lac Band. The treasurer elected is Dave Morrison, secretary-treasurer for the Boys Fort Band. And the secretary elected is our own chief executive, Melanie Benjamin. I congratulate each one of these officers, and I look forward to our continued collaboration and work on the Tribal Executive Committee. I now need to take a moment to introduce our Mille Lacs Band's legislative family. First, Darcy Big Bear, Band Assembly Clerk and Parliamentarian. Stacy Thunder, Legislative Counsel. Shelley Day, Office Manager. Danielle Smith, Legislative Coordinator. Bonnie Matrias, Legislative Office Assistant. Kim Kaeg, Legislative Librarian. Nancy Wood, Legislative Receptionist. Karen Day, Communications Liaison. I also want to introduce the district employees. For District 1, Billy Joe Sarcia, Megan Bollinger, and Samira Kimpson. For District 2, Raina Killspotted. District 2A, Adrian Benjamin. For District 3, Monica Benjamin. The Deputy Register for the Department of Motor Vehicles is Deanna Sam. And lastly, our Commissioner of Finance is Adam Valdez. These staff members are dedicated, committed to their work every day to keep business moving in the various legislative offices and the government's OMB, Office of Management and Budget. Now on to updates from home. Last year, I mentioned the Band Assembly's work on some important matters. First, Title 8, Chapter 13, Child Protection Statute. It has taken a significant amount of time for the many individuals from various band departments to review the current law and make recommendations to statute revisions. Once there's a consensus on language, the proposed law changes must be put into bill form. That also takes significant time to diligently annotate the changes. I am happy to report that this particular bill is in the final stages of editing and ready to be submitted to the Chief Executive for final approval. There are numerous changes in the law, and we will post the final bill once complete. Second, Tribal Employment Rights Office, TARO, we call it. Band Assembly is in the final stages of enacting a law creating a TARO Commission that replaces the Administration Policy Board and gives TARO its own autonomy with the ability to enforce TARO regulations without the interference of day-to-day administrative decisions. Third, housing. After repeat audit findings, errors in grant reporting to federal agencies, and thoughtful consideration, Band Assembly initiated an audit of the band's housing office via Secretarial Order 39-16 and hired a firm in May to conduct the audit. A summary of the audit report is available on the band's legislative webpage and in the legislative office. The auditors reviewed and analyzed the following areas: the housing application process as compared to waiting lists and tenant files to determine compliance, existing internal controls documentation, policies and procedures to determine compliance, tenant files for the period of May through July of 2016, and noted how processing records compared to written policies and procedures and document expectations. The home loan program was reviewed to determine compliance with repayment terms and applicable controls. And finally, they reviewed and analyzed financial information to determine if it is being documented properly to present accurate and complete financials. In August, a detailed report was delivered to Band Assembly, and the following areas are of concern. There was a lack of internal controls governing the day-to-day processes. There was failure to follow existing policy and procedures. There was a lack of overall goals for the department. There were inconsistencies between staff and how tasks are performed. There was missing documentation supporting decisions, daily activities, tenant files, waiting lists, and loan files. There was evidence of no follow-through with regard to assessments of fees for repairs, collection of rents, or loan payments due, nor reprimands for tenants who are in violation of tenant agreements. In response to these findings, Band Assembly approved of the issuance of Secretarial Order 41-16, ordering the Commissioner of Community Development to work on a corrective action plan that addresses all of the areas of concern presented in the audit report, and are now waiting for and expecting the Commissioner to implement measures that address all findings and ensure adherence to policy, efficiency in record keeping, and consistency and fairness in processing the many types of housing applications. In relation to housing, the Band Assembly approved a resolution establishing a committee to develop a real estate office to manage the band's home loan mortgage program and land leases. This will allow for more free buying and selling opportunities amongst band members without the red tape of housing office policies. Next, the band's revenue allocation plan. We refer to this as the RAP. It's required by the federal government for tribes that issue per capita payments to its members. The RAP dictates what percentages of our casino revenues are allocated to per capita payments and other accounts as band government, long-term savings, permanent initiative, circle of health endowment, and economic development. We had a short article in January's newspaper explaining a little bit about the RAP. Band Assembly has been analyzing spending and budgets closely for the last 2.5 years. We are now familiar with current band needs and wants. We are scheduling RAP discussions at the community meetings in February and March. I ask that constituents with questions and comments about the band's spending and revenue allocation plan please come to those meetings. Finally, Titles 3 and 4, legislative and executive branch statutes. As much as I wanted to tackle these two statutes, we were unable to due to the tremendous amount of other business items. But we do plan on getting these two statutes on the agenda soon for revisions that will require public comment prior to implementing. In other legislative news, effective January 2017, OMB was instructed to cease the collection of fees for automatic deductions that band members agree to. Okay. These automatic deductions actually save the band money, and Band Assembly saw no reason to continue to collect fees. Mille Lacs band checks, counterfeiting, and forgeries are on the rise. Need I tell you all that this costs the band money? The Office of Management and Budget, the casinos, and banks are doing their best to deter this crime, but we ask anyone with information about this to come forward and contact the tribal police. We are contemplating posting photos of these subjects in public places and the band newspaper. Now on to a little bit about the band's investments. We have a safe and conservative investment plan. Our investments continue to earn money. The Band Assembly and Commissioner of Finance discuss the band's finances weekly to ensure adherence to policy. On Friday, the band effectively terminated its investment advisory relationship with Wells Fargo Bank. The recent banking scandals involving Wells Fargo and the unwanted personal bank account scams and other discreditable acts towards tribes and their members across the country played a role in the band's termination decision. More importantly, Wells Fargo's direct participation in financing the Dakota Access Pipeline was a significant factor in that decision. All of us, myself, the chief executive, and the 3 district representatives felt that it is in the best interest of the band to move its portion of its investments from Wells Fargo at this time. All existing securities are now being transferred to other investment advisors. All right. The Department of Motor Vehicles, the DMV, has been working with Minoka Technologies for implementation and assistance with Laserfish. Laserfish is a technology that will automate work processes for the DMV, making workflow more structured and manageable. The Deputy Register will be electronically updating all files within the DMV office. This will not affect any incoming or new registrations. The DMV is also going to be initiating a Mille Band of Ojibwe license plate redesign contest. The details of this contest are being drafted, and we expect to have information out by the February newsletter. Our existing plate has been in place since 1986. So all you artists, be prepared to submit something to us. In final comments, generally, basically, Band Assembly meets twice a week in alternating districts and band-owned properties. As always, Band Assembly meetings are open meetings with a few exceptions, such as for investment strategies or personnel matters, not personal. The band's financial information provided to the public is limited in order to protect the band's assets. If any member wishes to discuss the band's finances, they can contact myself or the Commissioner of Finance. The Legislative Office now has a monthly update in the band's newspaper, a legislative website, and Facebook page as efforts to share as much information as possible with our constituents. On behalf of the Mille Band Assembly and Legislative Branch, it has been an honor to serve the Mille Band of Ojibwe, and we look forward to our continued commitment to you, the Mille Band members. Miigwech.
All right, one more round of applause. Good job. Okay, next on the agenda, we'll now hear the State of the Judiciary by the Honorable District Court Judge Dave Christensen.
Honorable Chief Executive, principal members of the Band Assembly, Mille Band members, employees, and guests, welcome to the 2017 State of the Band Address. It is my honor to provide you with the State of the Judiciary Address as prescribed by the band statutes. On behalf of the Judicial Branch, let me say that it is a pleasure to see all of you attend this distinguished event. Each year, we assemble to inform the Band Assembly, band members, and the community on the condition of our respective branches and our future goals, which will be addressed shortly. For those of you that do not know me, my name is David Christensen. I serve as the District Court Judge for the Mille Band. Rainer Churchill, the Chief Justice for the Mille Band Tribal Court, is not feeling well and requested that I provide the State of the Judiciary today. So with that, I will move forward with her request. As indicated, Rainer Churchill is Chief Justice and serves as the Appellate Justice from District 3. The Honorable Clarence Boyd serves as the Appellate Justice from District 1. If you're in the audience, please rise and be recognized. Currently, the District 2 Appellate Court Justice position is vacant and will be filled in the near future. I'd like to take this time to recognize Brenda Moose for her commitment and dedication to the court for the past 6 years. Brenda served as the Appellate Justice from District 2 and provided a great deal of cultural insight and service to the Mille Band Tribal Court. Miigwech, Brenda. The appellate justices hear cases appealed from the district court as well as original jurisdiction for election disputes. Previously, unlawful detainer cases were heard in the district court, but they are now heard by the justices within their respective district. As the district court judge, I hear many cases involving civil, criminal, and family matters. These cases are numerous and include a large number of truancy, child protection and family matters, child support, domestic violence, and harassment cases. Over the last 2 years, the Center for Court Innovation, the court's training and technical assistance provider, assisted in a comprehensive assessment of the tribal justice system and targeted assessment of the tribal child welfare system. The court's need assessment included several site visits, interviews, and focus groups with stakeholders, as well as surveys conducted at last year's State of the Band address, as well as in the other two districts. Members of the tribal court, band member legal aid, law enforcement, family services, and health and human services, elected and appointed officials contributed to the needs assessment. I'll provide a brief overview of the Justice Systems report that we received last week. The report provided numerous findings which we, the tribal court officials, would like to discuss with the chief executive and members of the band assembly at a date in February. There are eight main findings, of which I'll focus on 3 today. Please note that the court will provide some recommendations. They're not set in stone, but we need to determine which are our priorities, and the tribal court is asking for the 3-branch plan of action meeting. Number 1, substance abuse is the most pressing public safety concern for the band, and there's broad community support for developing more collaborative, treatment-based, problem-solving approaches within the justice system to address the substance abuses. With your help, we would like to convene a substance abuse task force that can map out a coordinated interagency response, such as the Healing to Wellness Court or Family Treatment Court, among other recommendations. Second point is truancy. Truancy and juvenile delinquency are reported to have a negative impact on the community, and several stakeholders have suggested that they would like to see a more coordinated response to addressing truancy and delinquency, providing additional programming and resources for truant and delinquent youth. In order to achieve numbers 1 and 2, as stated, we need to revise statutes to address these serious community problems. Stakeholders agree there are numerous judicial codes that are outdated, ineffective, or contradictory, and these codes should be updated and revised in order to improve the efficient and equitable administration of justice within the tribal court. With your help, we would like to convene the members of the Legislative Office, Judiciary Personnel, Office of the Solicitor General, band member legal services, and other necessary personnel to compile a list of all judicial codes that are in need of revising. Though these findings are deemed necessary, there are others which include asserting jurisdiction by adjudicating the numerous low-level criminal offenses, address the current practices that contribute to inefficiencies and inconsistencies within the criminal justice system. I'd like to improve communication and cooperate among justice system agencies, social service providers, and community-based partners. I'd also like to see strengthening of the confidence in the judicial system and potentially incorporating more cultural practices and traditional forms of dispute resolution and healing into the justice system that we already have. The tribal court will be reaching out to both branches and other departmental agencies in hopes of discussing the justice system needs assessment. We have numerous objectives for 2017, which are to continue to improve the court's rules, court safety and security, continue with strategic planning, and implement some performance measures which will give us goals for the next 5 to 10 years. This includes determining which findings from the needs assessment are our priorities and how to accomplish the findings. The Mille Band received a new grant award from the Office of Justice Programs. The focus of the award is to renovate the existing courtroom and court administration area. It's a $909,000 3-year grant which will make the court more accessible to the public, provide additional workspace for court staff, and a safer environment for all of us using or visiting the tribal court. Okay. Next, turn to the statistical data for the court. In 2016, there were 1,390 cases filed in tribal court. Of those cases, 312 were for child support, 797 were general civil, small claims, and electric utility cases. There were 37 low-level criminal offenses, traffic, and natural resource violations. There were 44 petitions for orders of protection that were filed, which includes domestic abuse as well as harassment cases. 18 cases were domestic abuse, and the remaining were harassment. Family law cases totaled 171, which is a decrease of 8% from the previous year. The family law cases consist of child in need of protection services, guardianships, custody cases, adoption cases, divorces, paternity, and name changes. For 2016, 65 cases were filed for children in need of protection or services. 39 of those cases were for educational neglect, and 26 were for other forms of abuse or neglect within the home. Educational neglect for our purposes, is considered truancy, since we don't have a means to address truancy under the existing codes as they sit. The 39 cases filed for truancy involved 55 band member children. 20 cases were closed of those 26, 20 were closed in 2016 because school attendance greatly improved. 6 cases are still open from 2015, and 2 cases were reopened. The ages of the children in the truancy cases ranged from 5 to 17 years old. There were 2 serious cases in which the children have not been in school since mid-September. The court held 127 hearings in 2016 to address truancy. The 39 cases plus involved that many hearings. The number of cases has been increasing from year to year. We hope that in the next year the band will enact truancy statutes which will create a more effective and efficient way of dealing with truancy. Of the 26 cases dealing with abuse and other forms of neglect, 58 children were removed from their homes. However, 6 children were reunited with their parents, who worked their case plans with Mille Band Family Services. 29 children within the 26 cases stemmed from prenatal exposure. That's a 45% increase from the previous year. The court held 105 hearings specifically for those CHIPS cases. In closing, I would like to mention that a majority of the cases filed with the Mille Band Tribal Court are the result of addiction or mental health issues. A large percentage of our Mille Band families have mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, children, and other relatives that are addicted to mood-altering chemicals, which in turn affects every one of us in some way, either as a family member, community member, or band employee. We as a band need to come together to address this as a whole. The court is asking for commitment from the elected and appointed officials to find time to meet with the tribal court to address these issues. We will be sending you a meeting invitation in the near future. A 3-branch plan of action meeting is one way to aid the court in achieving its judicial philosophy, which is to bring peace and harmony between the people of the Mille Band to ensure the continued survival of the Anishinaabe. Thank you for attending the 2017 State of the Band address.
Maybe. It's going to get warm right now. Okay. All right, Miigwech, Dave. All right. We will now hear the State of the Band address by the Honorable Chief Executive Melanie Benjamin.
Anin Buju, Delilah, I give you thumbs up on that. I think as adults and a lot of people, I don't think there's very many out there that could actually come up here and perform the way she did, so that's huge. You should be very proud. Good morning. It is still morning. Madam Speaker, and the honorable members of the Band Assembly, members of the Court of Central Jurisdiction, in accordance with the statutes of the non-removable Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe Indians, it is my duty, my privilege, and honor to speak with you about the state of the band. To our band members, family, employees, and guests, welcome to the Mille Lacs Reservation. We are honored that you're here to join us. Back in 1984, the first State of the Band address was given by Chief Executive Arthur Gobble. Our first Speaker of the Assembly was Douglas Sam. The band had just gone through a historical change from a reservation business committee called the RBC to a 3-branch government with division of powers while remaining within the framework of the Constitution of the Minnesota Chippewa tribe. This was not just a change of titles. Instead of an RBC with 5 people making all the decisions, the power was reserved to the people. As authorized by the Constitution, the duties of the elected officials were defined in band statutes. Responsibility to govern was divided among 3 branches: executive, legislative, and judicial branches. The idea was that 5 elected officials should not have all the power, and no single branch would be more powerful than the others. This did not occur overnight. It was a long, deliberate process based on our traditional way of making decisions by consensus in a way of a circle. There were many community meetings. Each time a draft of what would become our band statutes was ready, it was taken to the elders, then the community. It would be read out loud in public meetings, and then people would talk about what they heard. Leaders would listen to the people, take the draft back, and make more changes. Then when a new version was done, it was brought to the people again. This process took 3 years of full-time work to complete. The band leaders who did most of the writing were Art Gobble, Doug Sam, Marge Anderson, and Henry Davis. But in the end, the people, led by the elders who cared deeply for the community, decided how they wanted band government to work. I am told that some of those who were the most involved in the process included Raining Boyd, Jim and Jesse Clark, Sam and Linda Mitchell, Melvin Eagle, David Sam, Tony Wias, George Abbott, Batiste Sam, Frank Sam, and Sam Garble. Others included Brenda Moose, Willie Garble, David Matrias, Buzz Churchill, Joe Naquanabe, Sylvester Thomas, Frank Boyd, Susan Shingleby, Leonard Sam, Jacques Johnson Naquanabe, Julie Shingleby, Sam Wadena, and A.J. Nickelboyne. And there were many, many, many more. The story of our band government is a wonderful one, filled with drama. There were plot turns and twists, and even I only heard about recently by talking with people who spent a lot of time with Art and Doug. Not many of us know this story well anymore. With the passing of Doug Sam this past year, many people have wanted to talk about how his generation and all of these band members fought for the government that we have today. Over the years, I was fortunate to enjoy many wonderful conversations with Doug. He always said that our young people have to know this story. He wanted them to understand our system. He wanted band members to know how to use it as a tool to solve our problems. And so today, let us dedicate this State of the Band to the memory of Doug Sam and the whole generation of leaders and elders who created our division of powers government. There are things happening today that I will talk about later that go to the heart of our system of government. We often hear about the separation of powers, and I have used that phrase a lot myself, but our statutes actually say something different. Title II, Section 3 of our statutes is called division of powers, not separation. It says, to accomplish a fair and trust exercise of authorities conferred by the people in the Constitution, the authorities of government shall be balanced by dividing such authorities so that no one person or government entity shall have absolute power. People who worked with Art and Doug have said they did this intentionally. They did not want the branches to be separate from one another like three governments. They wanted one government with the division of powers, because to them, there was only one source of power, and that was the people. Among the people, authority would be divided up, but the three branches were to be working together in partnership. Many people think the division of powers was modeled after the United States, but that's not the full story. The real story is more powerful. To honor our leaders who have walked on and to get our next generation to lead, we all need to know this story. In the 1970s and 80s, there was a lot of unrest on our reservation and many others. Band members were unhappy with 5 elected officials making almost all decisions that impacted the band. There was a call to return the power back to the people. About this time, there were constant challenges from Mille County, which treated the band with disrespect. County officials said the band was not a government at all. In one meeting, a Mille County commissioner told Art that the band was like a club, like a Lions Club or a Rotary, and had no right to government, period. Also, back then, the band was usually at odds with the Minnesota Chippewa tribe. In those days, the band only received about 2% of all federal money for the tribe, the smallest share of all the bands. There was a mindset in the MCT that the real power was with the Tribal Executive Committee, or the TEC, and not the bands. But there was unrest in other bands as well. The Minnesota Chippewa tribe began talking about a new constitution. At Mille Lacs, our leaders wanted a better way to govern. Chairman Art Gabo and Secretary-Treasurer Doug Sam always felt the MCT system was imposed on us by the U.S., designed to weaken the people by giving all the power to just 5 officials, whom the BIA could easily control. Decades later, history has proven they were right. It is a fact that many tribal constitutions were drafted by non-Indian federal attorneys in the 1930s, and the concentrated power in the hands of a few people. They were not designed with modern tribal governments in mind. One night, during a trip to Washington, D.C., Art and Doug realized something. When the people voted in 1936 to approve the Constitution and join the MCT, they did not give up their inherent sovereignty as a band. Art and Doug began to explore what it would take for the bands to exercise its retained inherent sovereignty as an Indian tribe. They began talking with the elders about a basic principle, that with true sovereignty, the people get to choose what form of government they want, not the Secretary of Interior and not even the MCT. They studied the tribal constitution and bylaws and found a clause they believed supported the right of each band to create its own form of government without needing approval from the BIA or the TEC. In the bylaws, Article 6 said that each RBC could decide for itself how it would exercise its powers and authorities and decide the powers and duties of its members and appointed officials. The Minnesota Constitution requires that things like enrollments and elections go through the TEC. It requires us to participate in TEC governance. As long as we did those things, we were free to choose our own system of governance. Art and Doug talked to the elders. What they wanted was to spread out power to the people. Elders would ask, if you could create a brand new government and model it after any system in the world, what would you create? I am told that the decision was simple, but it was also brilliant. Art and Doug believed that the BIA would not try to stop the ban if the government appeared to be modeled after the United States, which has a three-branch system. But an attorney who was there, who helped write the statutes, told us that the decision about how our three branches should function was modeled after something that held our Anishinaabe people together since the beginning of time, something that never failed us, and which had the power to help, to heal, and to protect: our ceremonial drum. Our elders believed, as leaders, if we followed the way of the drum, how we carried out our duties, we would achieve good things for the people, and the people would be helped and protected. To understand our government, we need to know something about the drum. Some of our traditional people were asked if we could talk a bit about this today, and they gave permission. Within the Mille Band, we have 11 ceremonial drums. Each drum might be a little different, but some things are almost always the same. There are 21 positions on the drums, and these positions have assistants. When our band statutes were first written, if you added up the elected officials, the appointed officials, the judges, and the school board, there were 21. Maybe that was a coincidence, but our elders say that there is great power in the drum, and it can influence us in a good way that we don't even see. Today, there's things that we're likely doing right in government in the way of the drum, but we should also think about the ways that we have moved away from the drum and what we can do better. When people agree to be on the drum, they take an oath. They agree to work well with one another, to never strike one another with their hands, their words, or thoughts, to never speak ill of another Anishinaabe, especially another person on the drum. They're to always treat others on the drum respectfully, even when the ceremony is ended, because each member of the drum represent a money due or a spirit. We are told that when members of the drum fight with one another, those money due are upset as well, and it is bad for the whole community. And bad things can begin to happen. If those on the drum have disagreements, they are to be handled away from the drum privately and respectfully. On every drum, there is a head drum chief and a second chief who assists him. It is the job of the drum chief to make decisions, but the role is not to dictate. He makes decisions based on what the people on the drum want, and he listens carefully to their advice. Next, there are 4 Ogichidug, or veterans. There is a lead veteran and 3 others. In English, their responsibility is to serve as speakers of the House. If someone needs help or wants a prayer, they talk to the drum chiefs. If it is okay, the chiefs send that person to the speakers of the House. These Ogichidug know how to speak for the people, to try to help them. Next, there are 4 feathers on the drum: north, south, east, and west. Each feather on the drum has a singer and an assistant. They all have to know the songs and what order they go in. The head singer carries a big stick and keeps others in line. Each drum has a pipe, and the job of the pipe man is to take care of the pipe so that the prayers go where they're supposed to go. Then there are usually 4 drum warmers. They are the protectors of the drum. Their job is to keep an eye on the drum, to listen carefully, and make sure it is in a good way. If things happen that could harm the drum, they can pack up the drum and leave with it right away to protect it. Another job is the sweeper, who is also called the keeper of the house. His job is to make sure everyone is behaving in a good way, and he has authority to deal with anyone being disrespectful. He can make them leave if necessary. All Anishinaabe are welcome to attend the ceremony, but no one has the right to harm the drum, to upset the money due, or anything to harm their fellow Anishinaabe. There is also a hunter, who is also a messenger. He provides meat for the ceremony and goes around to the other ceremonies to tell them that there will be a drum ceremony. Finally, there are 4 head women and their assistants. Their job is to prepare the food and material, to host people from the other drums, and to provide advice to the drum chief and others, if they are old enough. They are the knowledge keepers. They know how everything is supposed to run and usually know all the songs. The drum chief and others are always looking to the women to make sure everything is okay. They can tell by the looks on the woman's face if it is okay to begin, if things are going well, or if a mistake has been made. The drum chief can give direction to others, but he also listens to what the people want. There is mutual respect among everyone on the drum, and they are supposed to be good to one another, no matter what. Everyone has certain duties, but no single person is more important than another. When everyone knows their roles, when they can carry it out with the utmost respect, when they follow their oath, the Manidug are happy and the people are helped. The idea of spreading out the power from just 5 people to 21 was inspired by how everyone on the drum cooperates. Our elders wanted duties to be divided up like they are on the drum. This was also how our clan systems worked as well. The clan system was first created to bring gifts of strength to the Anishinaabe, to help regulate our lives and environment, and to help us live in a good way and have order in the tribe. In the old days, a person's clan might predict their skills for certain tasks. Each person's strengths and position were respected. Many clans might be on one drum. While each clan differs, all are considered equal. Under the new system of governance, each of the 3 branches and the different positions were given a special role. Their authority to function in the role was to be respected. There were intense negotiations. Each of the 5 elected positions gave up some authority they used to have under the RBC's old way of operating. The chairman was given the title of chief executive and was given the job of conducting external relations with other governments and guiding the work of the commissioners. But neither the chief or the band assembly were supposed to run the programs anymore or to make day-to-day decisions. That power was given to the new commissioners. The chief executive gave up the authority to chair the legislative meetings to the secretary-treasurer, whose title was changed to the Speaker of Assembly when in band assembly. The RBC was renamed the Band Assembly and was made responsible for how money is spent and writing the laws of the band. The Speaker gave up the right to vote in legislative meetings. Band Assembly members gave up the power to direct program and business decision-making. The commissioner positions were invented to help spread power to the people. With guidance from communities, they were to make all decisions about programs without political interference, as long as the laws were followed. If there is a conflict about whether or not laws were being broken, those were to be settled by the tribal court, whose judges were originally elected by the people. This was division of powers, giving back to the people, because our elders wanted politics to be taken out of decision-making and how band members are served. They believed the source of government power was the people. In fact, the cornerstone of our band statutes, Title III, Section 3A, reserves to the people the power to propose and enact laws. Government was set up to encourage band member participation. The new laws required public meetings, public postings of all minutes, and the creation of community boards. They felt so strongly about giving power to the people that they wrote a law allowing the people to write legislation. The statutes say, the legislative authority of the non-removable Mille Lacs Band of Chippewa Indians is vested in the band assembly, but there is reserved to the people the power to propose bills and laws and to enact the same, independent of the band assembly and at their own options. The statutes say that with a petition signed by at least 5% of our registered band members' voters, band members have the right to draft and propose new laws, and as a government, we must officially consider them. What an amazing right to have. Yet I don't know in any time in recent history when the people have used this power. The statutes were also written to prohibit any changes to this system without a full public review, public hearings, and band members having the final say. Each branch has their duties, and those are to be respected. Our elders wanted transparent public meetings. They wanted band members to fill up the meeting rooms and share their opinions. There is a reason why the Admin Policy Board rotate in each of the districts. Our founders wanted band members to attend these meetings, to be informed, ask questions, and participate. There is a reason why our leaders dreamed of a band assembly chamber built to seat about 75 people and rotate the meetings in districts as well. They wanted band members to attend band assembly and be a part of driving the government agenda. Our statutes require that the Admin Policy Board, Band Assembly, School Board, Housing, and all other boards post agendas and minutes to maximize band member participation in government. Division of powers meant that no official or group of officials held all the powers of government, and that the people had the right to be involved. The ultimate power of enacting laws were reserved to the people, not just elected officials. Band members are not to be separate from band government, waiting to be served. We are to be self-sufficient, involved, and in service to the community and one another. This is how our elders wanted us to use government to better our lives. Today, as a band, we have many challenges and opportunities. Together with the band assembly, there were good things achieved in 2016. We purchased Big Sandy Lodge and Resort, opening our first major business in District 2. We started a tribal fish hatchery and stocked over 1 million walleye fry in 3 area lakes, including Mille Lacs. We redesigned our Neosho school curriculum with the goal of making Neosho a top-tier school of choice. We purchased a Four Winds treatment facility in Brainerd and will begin operating as a facility for band members. We finished a beautiful new cultural immersion facility in Rutledge for teaching our culture, traditions, and language. We broke ground for new community centers in District 1 and 3, and we helped stop the Sandpiper pipeline for now. We are moving forward, but we have work to do. Because along success, 2016 was a challenging year for the band, as it was for all tribes. The presidential election was a new low in national politics. Civil rights gained from the 1960s came under attack. Those motivated by racism viewed this election as permission to come out of the closet and speak their minds, even if the hate speech made others feel unsafe. This election was a rising up of those who believed that when women and people of color gain something, they lose something. A belief that they are entitled to the wealth of this nation and others are not. A belief as old as the day in 1492 when the first ship arrived here. This election season was not the birth of something new. It uncovered something old and ugly that was always there. In our region, it was no surprise. For decades, a small, loud group of people have felt that if the Mille Lacs Band gains something, then they must be losing something. And so in many ways, 2016 was a year of broken promises made to the band, driven by those who feel they have lost something. Mille Lacs County broke its law enforcement agreement with the band. This had little to do with law enforcement and a lot to do with the tired old claims that our reservation no longer exists. Breaking that agreement was also the county's way of protesting the Tribal Law and Order Act, which, despite the county's objections, went into effect on January 1. The band, the United States, and Minnesota now share concurrent jurisdiction over major crimes in Indian country. Our goal for band members is public safety, and that is our goal for our non-Indian neighbors as well. The county broke the agreement. They sent us a draft that we found unacceptable because it violated our sovereignty. We took the old agreement that had been in place for years, added some things that the county wanted, and we made some changes we wanted. The county rejected that. After the United States offered federal mediation and we accepted the invitation, the county refused. Governor Dayton met with us and with the county to encourage state mediation. We agreed and attended a planning session with the mediator last week. The county board, however, canceled its meeting, stated it needed more time to consider whether to participate. Perhaps they will agree eventually. All we want is public safety for all, and we hope that is also the goal of the county. On a related note, miigwech to band member Sarah Rice for stepping up to fill the position of Chief of Police. She has done a wonderful job in the position. Sarah has done a wonderful job in a position that she did not seek and is shining as a leader. Miigwech to our police officers as well for hanging in there with us. You have stuck by us and we will stick by you. "2016 was a year when the state broke its agreement with the band and other tribes to stay within its quota of walleye on Mille Lacs Lake. The state wanted more fish, so they took it. We are working with other 1837 tribes on this, which you will hear more about soon. Despite these broken promises, something inspiring happened. There was a spark of band member political activism, the kind that our elders wanted for us, and that spark has caught fire. In 2015, the band got officially involved in the Sandpiper pipeline matter, but band members in District 2 got involved first, using their voices as activists. This was democracy in action, of the people driving government policy, not the government driving the people. Together with Honor the Earth, our other tribes and allies, we stopped the Sandpiper for now. Also last summer, after Mille Lacs County voted to end our law enforcement agreement with no input from the citizens, one band member decided that she was not going to let that stand. Megan Ballinger wrote to the county board asking for time on the agenda to speak. This was not an easy thing to do, and it entailed courage. On the day of the meeting, it was standing room only, with band members, tribal police officers, and allies. Megan Bellinger, Billy Joe Sarcia, Katie Draper, and Sheena Matrias all spoke up, one by one, not employees of the band, but as Mille Lacs County citizens and band members. Band members like Donovan Boyd wrote letters to the editor. Many band members spoke out against injustice, and they did not stop with this one issue. Herb Sam and Hank Bonga got an effort going to teach cultural sensitivity to the regional law enforcement. Even our kids got involved in social justice. Last fall, 17-year-old Wyatt Oswinson was concerned about things that was happening to our students in Onamia. As a student athlete, he felt he had to do something, and he did. He kneeled during the national anthem not to show disrespect to the United States, but to protest disrespect of Indian students. He wanted the attention of the school's leadership, and he got it. School leadership met with him. As a result, the band flag is now displayed in the high school gym. And for the first time ever, a drum group was invited to sing before the national anthem at the homecoming game. Wyatt, can you please stand? Miigwech, for your courage and leadership. I know that you have inspired others to speak out. In our fight against addiction, Brad Harrington Jr. wanted to help. He offered to plan our District 1 conference about traditional ways of healing. Maria Costello helped lead a conference in District 3. Both stepped up as leaders and did an amazing job. State leaders were so impressed with Brad that the governor's office asked him to MC the State Tribal Opiate Summit. Pretty cool. In education, Virgil Wynn had been attending school board and parent meetings. When there was an opening on the board, he was appointed to fill that vacancy. He just ran for the school board and won. Congratulations on Miigwech, Virgil. And finally, one of our young women made history this year when she became the first band member to run for the state legislature in Minnesota. Chyla Brown developed an interest in politics and attended the DFL district convention. She had no plans to run, but suddenly she found herself nominated as a candidate for the Senate District 15. The odds of a Democrat winning in this right-wing district were always a long shot. But we are so proud of Chyla for stepping forward and running a great campaign. Miigwech, Chyla, for leading the way for band members to run for statewide office. Finally, so many band members helped out at Standing Rock. People like Tanya Abbott, who joined the Water Protectors early on, and so many others, like Viola Hendren, who saved up her money so she could buy food to make a meal for the Water Protectors. Miigwech to all the band members who went to Standing Rock. Nationwide, 2016 was a year of Native political activism. We need to keep this fire burning and stay in the game like never before, especially in Washington, D.C. We know how to work well with Democrats and Republicans, so the Mille Lacs Band will be definitely at the table, protecting our rights. We have worked well with our state as well. Pipelines are a key issue. We stopped the Sandpiper, but now we have to stop Line 3 along the same route. We will need band member help on state law enforcement issues, the boundary, and protecting the fishery. And finally, we will need your help with economic justice plan I spoke about last year. Most band members are hardworking, but there are a few who depend on the government to take care of them. We must stop the cycle of dependency because it is unhealthy for those families and unfair to everyone else. Our working class, the majority of you who take care of your families, you deserve some relief. This will only happen when we get our band members off of our programs. That means taking personal responsibility so they can become self-sufficient and take good care of their families. If this happened in every family, we could easily downsize band government and transfer our savings to our band working members. But right now, about 20% of the people are using 80% of the resources. Those resources are meant to help everyone. Another option would be to downsize band government now so people have no choice but to get off the programs. This would be much harder and impact everyone. Band members need to be part of that decision. If that's what you want, and if you have something else, please get involved and share your ideas and your opinions. Anyone can get involved by attending the executive branch meetings our commissioners have been holding in our communities. There will be many more this year. They are talking about how band government operates, sharing budget information, and looking for your feedback. Economic justice for our working band members is still the top priority of the commissioners. As Mille Lacs band members, you have many opportunities to get involved with government. The time is to do it now, and here is why. At the recent meeting of the Minnesota Chippewa Tribe, our division of powers government has been questioned, mainly by people who are not even Mille Lacs band members. Questions such as, how can the Mille Lacs have something different from the other bands? Did Mille Lacs get permission from the TEC for the division of powers? Did the people vote on the system? Who told Mille Lacs they could get rid of the RBCs? These questions cut to the very core of who we are as sovereign, self-governing, non-removable Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. Because of these questions, our government is now on the agenda of the next TEC meeting of the Minnesota Chippewa Tribe on February 8th at Fortune Bay. Speaker Bolio and I will present at this TEC meeting about how our government is structured. How it is structured, how division of powers complies with the Constitution, and why we had the right to create the system in the 1980s. And by the way, I welcome all of you who can attend this meeting to do so, because it is the legacy of our elders and your government that is on the table for discussion. As I was listening at the last TC meeting, I realized that those doing the talking were not around when our system was created, and most only know the RB system of their own bands. Our system is a mystery to them. But what I'm more concerned about is making sure that our system is not a mystery to our own band members. Anyone can read the statutes, they are online. We need everyone to understand our rights and how to make change in our community. If you can, show up at the Admin Policy Board meetings, community meetings, band assembly meetings, and our Minnesota Chippewa Tribe meetings. To the people is reserved the power. I mentioned earlier that in the days of Art and Doug, there were many exciting things happening and a lot of dramatic plot twist. I want to close with sharing the rest of the story, which came from the late Doug Sam in the interviews that he gave. With all the unrest in the MCT, there was interest in a new constitution in the early 1980s. At one meeting, the president told each band to bring their ideas to the next TEC meeting. Art and Doug had already been working with our elders on division of powers, so they wrote up their plan and brought it to the next TEC meeting. Doug said he soon realized that Mille Lacs was the only band that actually wrote something. The others came empty-handed. Still, some of them laughed at our plan. Doug said, "Mr. President, you told each band to come back with the plan at the next meeting. No one has a plan, but you sit here criticizing our plan? I want all the copies back, and I'm going back to Mille Lacs." Art Gobble stood up and said, "And I'm going with them." And they walked out. At home again, they devised a strategy. The next time the TC met, Art and Doug brought a resolution. It called for the Mille Lacs to withdraw from the MCT. Of course, it was opposed by the other bands, but they started taking Mille Lacs more seriously. But for Doug and Art, the resolution was not the end, it was only the beginning. They decided to put tribal sovereignty into action. Sovereignty provided for the people to choose what form of government they wanted. They knew the way of the RBC was not good for government or business at Mille Lacs. It was time to shed old systems and create something different, designed by the people, which empowered the people, and modeled after our traditions. In the meantime, other MCT bands were nervous about what Art and Doug were doing. They tried many ways to stop Mille Lacs, mainly by trying to cut funding from us. They also tried to get the BIA to stop us. Art and Doug knew this was happening. They held their own meetings with the BIA and asked for support for the division of powers. But the area director said, "You are 5 years ahead of the BIA, and you need to wait for us to catch up." According to Doug, Art said, and he swore, so I'm not going to swear, but he said, "Like heck I am. The Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe is not waiting for anyone." This time, Art got up and walked out of the room. And Doug said, "I'm going with him." Later, during a meeting in Washington, D.C., they knew what the band should do next: get the Congress to pass a bill allowing us to separate from the MCT. There was a 3 a.m. phone call with the band's other elected officials, and they gave the go-ahead. Next, Art and Doug convinced Senator Rudy Boschwitz to author a bill. It was called the Mille Lacs Band of Chippewa Indian Separation Act. If passed, it would make Mille Lacs an Indian tribe separate from the MCT. Our new name would be the Mille Lacs Federation of Chippewas. In the end, the bill did not pass, mainly because our own congressman was against it. You see, the other bands on the TEC were in his district, and they opposed our bill. But still, this was a brilliant strategy. The fact that Art and Doug were able to get this bill sponsored sent a shockwave throughout the MCT. At about the same time, President Reagan was working on an Indian policy. A Reagan staff heard about Mille Lacs and had used its sovereignty to create a new division of powers government. She was fascinated. As one of the authors of President Reagan's Indian policy, she used Mille Lacs as her model and called for expanding self-governance by supporting small tribes that wanted to create new governments. The goal was to help reject the paternalistic systems created by non-Indian attorneys in the 1930s. Later, she would say, "Little Mille Lacs led the way." A lot of changes have taken place since then. We never left the MCT, and today we work very well with the other bands. And the other bands saw that what our elders were doing was actually the wave of the future. We got into self-governance based on our own separate tribal status, and eventually so did the other tribes. These days, a few have stopped calling their own governments RBCs, as we did 3 decades ago. Some now have commissioners, and most have tribal courts. At the first State of the Band address, the BIA area director attended. He understood this was a tribal version of the President's State of the Union address. He checked with Washington in D.C. and was told that no other tribe in the nation had did this. Afterwards, he said to Mille Lacs, "Do you know that you have made history? What you have done today will become a national trend." He was right. Today, it seems that most tribes hold their own State of the Indian addresses. What Art, Doug, Marge, and all those elders achieved back there was amazing. It was not little Mille Lacs leading the way. It was the non-removable Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe leading the well. Asserting our inherent sovereignty as a proud, powerful Anishinaabe government. These were strong people holding on to our traditions while outsmarting everyone else, including the federal government. That must not be forgotten. We were ahead of our time in so many ways. We had a tribal court, even though others said we could not. We did it anyway. Later, the United States would agree that we had that right. We said we had 1837 treaty rights. The state said we did not. Eventually, the U.S. Supreme Court would agree with us. The leaders who achieved all of this were warriors of the non-removable Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe, fighting for our rights, being bold, staying ahead of the rest. Today, we also need strong warriors. The next several years will be about making sure we don't lose progress. When our system of government is functioning well, there is so much that we can accomplish together. But if band members drive the agenda by being engaged and involved, there is no limit to what we can achieve. Our founders wanted the three branches to always work together to cooperate as one government. For the most part, I think we do that well. And miigwech to the band assembly and our judges, because I know how hard they work for the band members. What I do think all of us could do better, and I'm including you, the band member, is to all do better together. We need more unity. We need to improve our programs, but we need your help. We are not perfect people. None of us up at this today are perfect leaders. We need your activism, your involvement, and your support. We need you to use your rights as band members and get involved wherever you can. Our band is filled with so many brilliant and talented people, like our MC today, Joe Nakwanabe Jr. I just nominated him for another 4-year term, and his confirmation is pending before the band assembly. Most of you would not know this, and they try not to let me know it either, but I did find out. But some of the biggest casinos in the nation are trying to get Joe to come and work for them. Better not. The leader of another tribe said that he would gladly trade his entire staff for just one Joe Nakwanabe Jr. But Joe chooses to stay here because he loves this band. And everyone else I mentioned today, they choose to stay here because this is a very special community. Miigwech to all the band members for your commitment to this band. Every band member can help us build a better future for our children. We have many challenges ahead of us, but we will overcome them if we come together as a community and get involved. Let's make our next generation the next greatest generation. I believe we can do that because to the people is reserved the power. Miigwech.
All right, miigwech, Chief Executive Benjamin. One more round of applause. All right, right now, the last song for the day. So this is an honor song given to us by Nawageezes, Jim Clark. And he used to tell the story about this song, and it was specifically created to be sung at this event for the people of the Mille Lacs Band to celebrate and to bless the people of the band. So this is a special gift. I want us to recognize that and then turn it over to Little Otter to take it away. I want to have the room give a round of applause to all the folks that plan this event, the tireless hours. Let's give those guys a big round of applause. And we'll take some volunteers to come on up to help us serve some of the elders. And then everybody else, the staff will sort of release each tables back to all the buffet lines. So thank you guys so much. Oh.
At this time, I'm going to have a recess for band assembly, and we will reconvene at 1:30 in the band assembly chambers.